That's like their lobster. And that's like the real life
Yes.
lobster, of course. I mean, you know. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Feelings to Unfold podcast. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Christina.
And I'm Maribel.
The goal of this podcast is to talk about situations that people tend to feel uncomfortable with. And today we want to start the conversation with relationships. How do you know that the person you're with is the one?
To me, I think that's hard to say that someone is the one. Maybe just because I personally haven't felt like I just know that the person is the
Hmm.
one. Compared to other people, they always say that if you are with your soulmate, then you just know that they're meant to be the one.
Hmm. I don't know. Like for me, it's funny because like in one of my longest relationship, I honestly thought, yeah, this person is the one for me. Like I'm gonna be with this person forever, blah blah blah. But like near the end of the relationship, I literally felt like, no, I'm wrong. Like this person isn't the one for me. Like I honestly like couldn't look at myself in the mirror and say that I'm with the person I'm with, like that person's my soulmate. Like
Mhm.
I literally felt like I was losing myself. Like I was one of those people that felt like I wasn't the person I should be at this age. Like I felt like a whole different person from when the relationship first started to where it is like then. So like I don't know, like I guess it really depends on like the person too, because like the relationship just there's so much like that roller coaster in the relationship,
Mhm.
you know? And it's just like everyone changes like so much. And I remember like someone I know like told me was like the person like you're with the person if you guys are changing at the same pace. And I think that was like really
Mm,
interesting, you know? Like
yeah,
that
like growing together.
yeah, exactly. And I guess like that's like a key factor, which is really
Yeah.
interesting. I think like um how do you call this? If the person isn't changing with you, but then does that mean like, oh, that they're not the one for you? What happens if they feel like they're the same person, they don't need to change, you know?
That's always kind of tricky, right? Because someone can feel like, or you can feel like they are the one at the time, and then maybe one day you change and they don't. And then does that mean they're not the one anymore?
Exactly. But isn't that like the scary factor of it all though? Like I think that's the
Mhm.
point of it. Like, how do you know? Like, are you willing to take that risk? Are you willing to take that chance in the relationship?
Yeah. But then
Because
also, it's like if you are meant to be together, then wouldn't you both work things out so that you do end up together forever?
how do you know? I think that's like the big questions. Like, how do you really know? Like, if you're
It
really
just depends
willing
on the
to,
people,
I guess so,
right?
right? It does. It's just like that scary factor though. Like, if you come out
Yeah.
of like a really hard relationship, you're just like that next step. How do you know if you're ready? Like there's so many people that are like, let me find myself first. Like
Mhm.
I think that's a really big factor into going to the next step in your relationship is, or knowing that your relationship is ready and that person is the one is if like they say, like, you have to love yourself to be able to have like that kind of like adult relationship in a way, like that is your soulmate. I think that's what like that big factor is in there.
I think you can't ask me because from my past, now I have commitment issues.
I know that's what it feels like. I have commitment issues too sometimes. It's like,
I'm
like
scared.
I think so too. It's just like, we like as a little kid, like I remember I would be like, I want that Prince Charming. I want him to sweep me off my feet. I want
Mhm.
him to be like this perfect guy and everything. But then like once you hit that like relationship and it falls apart, you're just like, damn, is there actually a Prince Charming out there? But then my feminist side was just like, I don't need a man. Like I can take care of myself. I could
True,
like,
true.
like I'm not a damsel in distress. So it's just like how do I know if I'm, like, really ready for a relationship when I'm also afraid of getting into a relationship because I don't wanna be hurt not hurt, sorry, be scared to get into it, you
Mhm.
know?
I think that's part of it though, is like once you do really love yourself and then the person that you're with also loves themselves, then you guys can still be together while having like your own life at the same time
I think that's true. That's,
of
like, a
like
really important.
yeah, like making it work together, but
Mhm.
as individuals still, so that you
Yeah.
don't lose yourself.
I think that's, like, the big and key factor. I think part of me doesn't wanna get into, like, a serious relationship again is because I don't feel like I love myself yet. Like, I don't feel like I'm at that level of, I know who I am and I know what I want. Like,
Mhm.
But then it's like there's also that factor in my head, it's like, damn, if I'm with that person and I wanna be with them forever, like, there is still that fear of, like, there's still divorce. You guys could still break up.
Yeah, yeah.
And, like, what happens if there's kids involved? There's those factors in life, and there's those obstacles you have to face. But I think at the same time, it's also like, well, if I know, I know, you know?
Mhm.
I guess, yeah.
That's why I'm kind of scared because if you see in like movies, people can be happily married
Mhm.
and then one wrong thing can happen and then it's like, do we get divorced? What about the kids? And then you don't want to potentially affect your kids because
Exactly.
of that. But of course, it's like if something really bad happened, you also don't want to stay just because of the kids.
Yeah, because then, like, wouldn't you just be miserable yourself too, Like,
Yeah.
are you willing to sacrifice your own happiness for another person? Or, I mean, well, if it's the kids, of course, that's a whole different story, but for yourself, it's just, let's just say, like, it's just you and your significant other. It's like, is your happiness getting in the way of the other person's happiness as well? You know?
Mm.
Like, shouldn't you both be happy at the same time? I think that's
Yeah.
what's really important, is having that, like, parallel with your relationship. You guys have to be both kinda happy with each other, and I think that kinda goes back to knowing yourself and loving yourself
Yeah.
also. I think that's
Yeah.
what's really important, and I think, like, a lot of people nowadays, it feels like a lot of people are really looking for, like, that, "I need to love myself. I need to know who I am. I need to know what I want," before
Mhm.
taking that next step, taking that step into, like, a big commitment, you know? I
I
think that's,
know
like.
that's how I feel right now. I mean, personally, I just got out of a long relationship. So I'm kind of in that stage where I'm like, I just want to do my own thing for a while and just focus on myself and know what I really want in life before I even think about being in a relationship again.
Yeah, that's like, there's nothing wrong with that at all. I think that's like the best way to go forward. I just think it's like a lot of people too in like society, they're just like, you have to get married at this age, you have to get kids at this
Mhm.
age. And like sometimes that gets in the way. It's just like other people's opinions are like overlapping with what you want to do. And it's just like, damn, should I be listening to them or should I just go with what I want to do?
Because it's like a social pressure.
Yeah.
And then not even just that, but then there's pressure from your family too.
Mhm.
And then if all of your friends are like getting married and settling down, and then that adds pressure too.
Exactly. I think that's crazy because it's just like, yeah, of course I wanna get married. Yeah, of course I wanna have, like, the big engagement, the big wedding, but then sometimes there are moments where just like, "Do I really want that? Do I
Mhm.
really wanna get married? Do I really
I
wanna
know.
have all those stuff?" I think at this point in my life, because I'm just at this, like, standpoint of I don't know if I'm ready for relationships, maybe that's why I'm not as excited yet to get married, to have that engagement, because I feel for myself I'm not ready for that. Like, I know. I don't wanna force it, you know? I don't wanna
Yeah.
fit into that society for now right now.
Yeah. No, I get it because it's like if you get married, I'm gonna make sure we stay
Yeah,
married. Like you
exactly.
have to be the one to get
Yeah,
married. I'm
same.
not like going through the whole, oh, now we're gonna get divorced, and like if
Mhm.
we have kids and they're gonna be, I don't want them to be traumatized or something growing up,
Exactly.
That's not fair to them. I want them to grow up in a happy home where they know
Mhm.
that their parents love each other and the parents love them.
Yeah, no,
So
I
I don't
totally
even want to risk that.
exactly. No, I feel the same way. It's just like I think, putting yourself first is nothing wrong with that. I think that's the most important thing to have. And I think that's what gets you to be ready to be in the next relationship, like having that moment of like breather, like, okay, I know where I am. I know I'm
Mhm.
happy. And like, you know, whatever, like a guy or girl come into your life, you're just like, okay, yeah, I think he's the one, she's the one. I think that's when you really know that you're with your soulmate. And I think that's when you know you're ready for a relationship again. I think that's what's really important.
Yeah, I think if as long as you are putting yourself first, know your worth, know what you want, and if somebody comes along and things happen, then it happens. But I think if you go out there looking for love or expecting love from something, then that's already kind of not going to work from the start.
Yeah, that's
Because
what I
then you're
feel.
like putting expectations on it,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, I think that's where you have like that fantasy of that
Mm-hmm.
Prince Charming fantasy, which is just
Mm-hmm.
like, it doesn't feel like that's not the right approach. I wouldn't say it's the wrong approach, but I wouldn't also say it's like the perfect approach to go
Right.
with it. I mean, like there's some people out there like who probably would do that, who like wrap their relationship, they can date right away. And it's just like I applaud them. I mean, like, hey, like you know what you want, you go for it. Like, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's like, that's okay.
I think before I kind of used to have this timeline for my life.
Mm,
Like, oh, I wanted to be married by 30 or at least have one kid by 30. And now I'm kind of like, I don't care how long it takes. I want to make sure that I'm okay with myself first,
yeah.
that I'm happy, that I'm doing what I want to be doing in life before I even think about having another person in the picture or having kids. But I mean, there is still pressure. I
I
am getting older.
I think there's always gonna be that pressure there, whatever it is. I think like, what's they call it, like your external time clock or something like that. I don't know if that's the right word or that's the right phrase. Like, your timing or whatever. I
Yeah.
think that's always going to be there. Like for me, at least personally, like I am getting older, but then even if it's like, still, I don't know if it's because of the long relationship I had that it took like a good portion of my life. But at the
Mhm.
same time, like I don't want to go into my next relationship thinking he's the one when I'm not 100% sure if I'm ready for the one yet, you know?
Yeah. That's why it's like you kind of want to take your time with that.
Mhm. Yeah.
You don't want to worry about like, oh, I need to rush into this marriage or something just
Mhm.
because I'm getting older.
Yeah, or like your family or friends' expectations be like,
Mhm.
like, "Oh, why don't you have a boyfriend yet? Oh, you should have this many kids by now." It's just like, well, this is my life. I want kids at when I'm ready to have
Yeah.
kids. Like if the time comes where it's just like I'm too old, then there are other options. I can adopt. I could find a surrogate. Like, there's always those
Mhm.
options always there. And I think having that open mind, I think that's what's also a good factor into it. Cause like I think if you're so close-minded, I think there's that fear of your time's running out, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's like a big thing, at least for me. Obviously, I could be wrong. You know, there's people out there who probably are married to their high school sweetheart and they're going strong, and I applaud that. I wish I had that. But,
Mhm.
some people I guess aren't as lucky, maybe, or.
Yeah. I don't know. I've kind of always been jealous of people who have been with the same person since middle school because I feel like for them, they knew that
Yeah.
that was their person. And a lot of times, middle school relationships are just like
Like,
whatever. It's
you
just a
know, like
middle school relationship. It's
yeah,
nothing serious.
like you would think it's like, oh, puppy love. But then you kind of look
Yeah.
back, it's like, I'm pretty sure like they weren't together their whole lives. They probably had their ups and downs. They probably had
Yeah.
like, their breaks, their breakups. But like when I think like, yeah, when you know,
And they made it work.
yeah, they made it work.
And that's why they're still together.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's such a great goal to have, such a great like kind of looking towards the future. But
Mhm.
then, like there's nothing wrong with s- having that break also, and also having that like I need to figure out who I am, what I want to
Yeah.
do, where my next life is, what my next chapter is, you know?
I
I-
mean, these two people that I know, they were together in middle school, and then one person moved away for college, and so they broke up. And then they ended up getting back together like a few years later. So I was kind of like, that just shows you that if you are meant to be,
Mhm.
you will be together.
Yeah, I
Like you're
think
gonna go
yeah,
and work through your things, and then if you really are meant to be, you'll find your way back to each other.
yeah. That's like their lobster.
Yeah.
And that's like the real life
Friends.
lobster, of course. I mean, I think that's beautiful. I think that's like such a
Yeah.
great story to have. Like, honestly, if that was me and I was telling my kids, hey, this is how me and your dad got together, like, that's such a beautiful story. It feels like that's
Mhm.
something out of a movie. Like,
Yeah, it
I really
does.
feels like it really feels like it's out of the movie. Like those are those like relationships like it feels like every girl or guy like wishes to have, like,
Yeah.
finding that like sweetheart kind of thing. And I think those are the lucky ones. We obviously we got the complicated part, but I guess there's like just more to it, I
Well,
think.
I don't know, you actually like we don't know what those people went through either,
That's
right?
true. Yeah,
They
exactly.
could have had so many struggles to make
That
it
is
work.
true.
And I
Hmm.
mean, if they are together for such a long time, I'm sure it took them a while to learn how to make things work, but that's just what a relationship is. Like, you have to work at that. If you
Hmm.
really love each other, you have to like learn how to love each other and how to make it work together.
No, yeah, totally. I think like being able to work together and work towards a certain goal is like also really big. But I think like communication is definitely
Yeah.
like the biggest key factor. Like I feels like that's like such a big downfall also in relationships. I
Mhm.
know like in like relationships I've had like, like the other person isn't the greatest communicator, and you just put so much strain on yourself because it's
Mhm.
just like I'm the only one talking, I'm the only one expressing my feelings here. Like,
Yeah.
what am I
It's
supposed to do? Yeah, it
hard.
is. And it's just like I think that's like the biggest downfall in a relationship is if that person just can't communicate with you. They
Mhm.
like, like there's nothing wrong with expressing yourself. And I think like even for like a guy or girl, because like girl could be like, the person who doesn't know how to express their feelings. Like it's
Mhm.
not always the guy. It could also be the girl. And I think that's like the key factor in it is communication, you know, being able to express your wants, your needs, the problems are. I think that's
Yeah.
like really important, you know.
No, yeah, because for me, at least in my past experiences, I'm the type of person where I have to talk about how I'm
Hmm.
feeling.
Yeah.
And if something's wrong in the relationship, then I'm gonna wanna like make things right. So to me, I kind of have to talk about it. And if you're like the type of person that is not open about your feelings and I'm like pouring my heart out, but not like getting any kind of communication back, it's hard because it's
Yeah.
like I don't know what you're thinking
Hmm.
or feeling. So how do we know where to go from here?
Exactly. I think that's really important, you know. But then also it's like how much of the feelings do you really want to express too as well? Like do you really want to express like like your whole emotions, like you're putting your what's the saying, like you're putting your heart on your sleeve,
Mm,
you know? Like, do you really want to do that? Or like how soon do you want to do that in the relationship? Like, do you show your heart, like, I don't know, like a few weeks into your relationship? Like I've known relationships or people like they do that right away. Like after a week of just like dating, making things official, they're already like vocalizing so much.
mm.
And then I've seen like the significant other just turn away and then the relationship ends, you know? And it's just like, did it end because they vocalized too soon? But then I've seen like relationships where they vocalize later and the relationship still ends, you know? Like when do you know like that perfect timeline to vocalize yourself, vocalize the emotions?
I think it just depends on the people. Like, everyone's gonna be different. So,
Mhm.
sometimes people might come on too strong, too fast,
That's true.
but I think that's where the other person would have a conversation with them and
Mhm.
let them know, like, it's a little bit too much for me right now, and then they work on that. And down
Yeah.
the road, then they
Like
can be more open about it.
mhm.
And I think as long as they're both communicating with each other, knowing how each other feels, then and respecting each other's feelings,
Mhm.
then it's gonna work out.
Yeah. I really yeah, I think I totally agree too. Like it really just depends on the person, you
Mm,
know? If it's meant to be, then I guess like it'll work out. If it's not, then well, you know, at least you tried,
yeah,
you know.
at least you tried.
I think that's like a really big important part to see where that relationship is going, where that relationship is if you at least try. You know,
Mhm,
if you give up too fast or you don't even try, then like what's the point, you know? I think that's also a big like downfall for yourself as well. Like I think that's also a key factor of when you're going to start losing yourself is if you keep shutting yourself off
mhm,
and you keep like kind of like downgrading yourself. I think that's a big key factor is don't second guess your actions as well. You know, give some time for yourself in the relationship. I think that's a big point. I think also like being able to have like that space. That's really important. Being able to like be like, okay, this is my me time. This is your me
yeah,
time. Go hang out with your friends. Go do
mhm,
your thing. Like having that trust between the you two, I think that's like a huge key factor. Like if that's not there, then it's just like, okay, then why am I with you? Because
that's
I
when you start
know
to lose yourself.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So it's just like if you can't trust your significant other, then you're gonna start like I think to me at least, if you start untrusting your significant other, you start untrusting yourself too. And then you start breaking away those pieces of yourself. Because I know that's how I felt in like my relationships is when I start like not being able to trust that person. It's just like, well, maybe, you know, that girl is prettier than me or you know maybe that girl's giving her more time or maybe that girl is better than what I'm giving him, you know, kind of things. And you
mhm,
start breaking away pieces of you every single time and to the point
yeah,
where it's just like I look myself in the mirror and be like, damn, this isn't me. This isn't who I am. I'm not
yeah.
happy. You know, I think that's like a big key factor.
It kind of, like, makes you crazy.
It
Like,
does.
for me, I'm really trusting, and I will trust you unless you give me a reason not to. But then if you do give me a reason not to, then won't be able to, like, gain that
It's yeah,
back.
it's
It's
like
kinda
hard.
hard to
Yeah,
build it back up, right?
yeah, no.
And I kind of learned a lot about myself when I didn't trust my partner anymore,
Mhm.
because it made me feel like I was crazy.
I think it starts me no, like, totally, I totally understand. It's like you start becoming, like, that crazy girlfriend you don't wanna
Yeah,
be, right? Like, you start be like,
I
"Oh, let me see your phone. Let me go, find out where you're going." Like, you ask those, like,
yeah,
50 questions, like, "Oh, who are you gonna be with? Who's gonna be there? Where are you gonna go?" You know, you start being that
mhm.
girlfriend, you're just like, "Wait, I don't wanna be that girlfriend." Like, I
I
make fun of those
never thought,
girls.
yeah,
Yeah, like, I used to make
like
fun of those girls, and then I became that girl, I'm like, "Shoot, no."
when
I
it's
don't wanna do
not
that.
you and you
Yeah,
see it happening, you're
yeah,
like, "Oh, I would never be like that, like,
yeah,
she's acting like a crazy girlfriend." And then it
yeah,
happens to you and you're like, "Oh my god, like, this is me now.
yeah.
Like, how did this happen?"
Exactly. I think that's when the moment hits you, it's just like, "Oh, well, I guess he isn't the one," I think, you know? But then, it's just it just happens. Like, I've known people who are like, "I became that girl too, and, like, I need to end it," and I'm just like,
Mhm.
do what you feel is right for you. If you think that is, then do it. If you don't, then, keep fighting through it, you know? I think there's, like, those certain levels of craziness though, too. I
Yeah.
think if you hit that high crazy, then I think it's time to cut ties maybe, or you really need to talk to your man or your woman, you know? So I think it's
So,
like
some people, I think they like that.
yeah, I
They
think
like
yeah, they really
being
do.
crazy, like, I've seen some stuff on Twitter, some people say it, like, kinda adds to the thrill.
I know,
I'm
like,
like,
yeah.
"Oh, no."
I think that it's really funny because it's just like, yeah, I've seen that on Twitter, I've seen that on, like, you see that on movies, TV shows, and,
Mhm.
like, you see the, like, the next scenes, you're just like, all of a sudden, they're, like, making out again, they made up, it's like the thrill,
Yeah.
they like that part in the relationship, but it's just like, I remember someone told me, like, they kinda like it because it kinda gives them that attention. And I'm just like, "Huh, that's an
Mhm.
interesting way of putting it." Like, you know?
Well, don't you think, like, a little bit of jealousy can be, like, flattering? But
Okay,
if
but
it's,
that's where
like,
I was saying, like, there's that
too
levels.
much,
Like, I think, like,
yes.
that's, like, level 1 of jealousy, that's fine. I think,
Like, a
just a
little
little.
bit.
Like, it's
Like,
okay
"Show
to
me
be
you
yeah.
want me."
Exactly, like, I think that's where you're like, "Okay, this is the normal," but I think once you hit, like, I don't know, you're following him to the restaurant and looking to see if he's actually with his friends, then that's when you know, like, "Okay, I need to cut ties," you know? Like, if you're going to that, like, stalker level, I think
Okay, that's
I
that's
think that's when
too
you're just
crazy.
like, "I think there's something wrong, and that I need to, like
Yeah,
this is the toxic relationship that people talk about," you know? Where, like, you're both
yeah.
hurting each other in a way that's not healthy, you
I think
know?
that's when you know, like, we shouldn't be together if it's gonna be
Mhm.
like this, like, it should not be like that, right?
Right, yeah, no, totally, like, I think, when you get jealous if, like I don't know, to me at least, if my guy looks at another girl, okay, it's just looking, whatever, to me, that's fine,
Mhm.
but as long as he looks back at me and knows that I'm right there, then, obviously, there's
Okay,
a certain point.
I have a question for you
Okay.
because in my past relationship, I'm the type of girl that I will acknowledge, like, another pretty girl or, if I see someone who I think is attractive,
Mhm.
and then I'd be like, "Oh, she has a nice body, like, she has a nice butt." So is it weird to, like, tell your partner, like, "Oh, look at her butt's nice," or
I
something?
don't know, I don't think that it is. I know some people who do think that, like, no, they don't like that, but to me, I'm just like, I'll
Mhm.
say it. I'll, like, point it out, be like, "I've done that," like, especially, like,
Yeah,
if you're at a restaurant, the waitress is pretty, like, obviously, like, body goals, like, I want a butt like that, like, I want
yeah,
my boobs that big, or I want my boobs smaller, like, I want a body like her, but, like, I think there's, like, a point where it's just, like, if you're significant I think to me at least, if my significant other turns to me and tells me, "Babe, like, no, I think your body's perfect the way it is. You're the one, like, whatever." I think that's when I know it's gonna click. I'm like, but then there's also a part of me, I'm like, bullshit. Like, you're lying, right? Like, you're
You're
totally
just
lying.
saying that right now.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But then also part of me is also like, oh, he's so sweet. But then like my
Mhm.
crazy, the stupid crazy side is gonna be like, "Damn, this guy is such bull right now, like, what the heck?" But I think, like,
Yeah,
there's nothing wrong, I'll do that, I'll even do that for a guy, but then I want my guy to be able to be, like, secure with his self, that he can say it too and be like, "Yeah, he does have a great body." I'm like, "Of course," you know?
yeah. Like, just because you mentioned it doesn't mean
Yeah.
you're gonna be like, I want to be with that guy.
Yeah, exactly. like, I think there's also, like, that's the whole, like, trust factor in there too, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna go over there and get the guy's number, but, I mean, if I was single, maybe, but obviously, I'm with, like, this person, like, I'm with you, I
Mhm.
chose you for a reason, you know? Like, you swept me off my feet, not
And
him.
that's when you see if, like, your partner is insecure or if
Oh,
you
yeah.
guys are secure together.
Mhm,
Because if you can't, like, compliment your guy friend without your significant other being like, "I can't believe you, like, said that he looked good in that shirt," or whatever,
mhm,
it's like, I was just giving him a compliment and I didn't mean anything by it, but obviously, like, you kind of feel insecure because you felt some type of way about it. I'm not, like, hitting on him, I'm not trying to
yeah,
flirt with him, I just wanted to give a friend a nice compliment, and that's it, that's all it was.
mhm. Oh, wait, okay, then I have a question for you.
Okay.
So, like, we were just talking about strangers, you
Mhm,
know, giving a compliment to strangers, but how do you feel like if the guy compliments, like, one of your friends, you're hanging out, be like,
mhm.
"Oh, Maribel, I like that dress on her," like, "She looked really good." Like, how would you feel? Oh, well, obviously wait, let me switch up the
W
name to Christina because obviously I asked the question to you. But, like, oh, like, how would you feel? Like, what do you think that's, like, the wrong thing to do?
I
Is
think
friend?
well, okay, if we're friends, like, then you should be saying it to your friend. Like, don't tell your significant other that her friend looks good. That's
So
weird.
so you think no, 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 I mean, like, okay, like, your significant other, like, tells your f like, yeah, like me, let's say, like, I walk away and let's say, like, I'm your significant other and be like, "Oh, hey, Christina's dress looks really good on her, like, she looks really pretty." Like, do you think that's weird to say? Or unless you want the person to go up to, like, me and be like, "Hey, you look really good. I
Well,
like your
wait.
dress on you." See,
Okay,
so where's the,
is
like
my partner friends with you
like, I mean,
or are you a
yeah, like
stranger?
no, like, we're friends.
Oh,
We're pretty
okay.
much friends. We're all friends because obviously I'm friends with him because of you. So, but
Yeah.
I'm mainly
Oh,
your
I see
friend.
what you
You know
mean.
what I mean?
Well,
So,
that's like if he tells you, like, if we're all talking or whatever,
mhm.
and then he's like, "Oh, Christina, your dress looks good on you," like, then to me, that's just like he's complimenting you.
So there's nothing wrong with
And
that, right?
yeah, but if he is like only telling me, it's like, I think your friend looks good today, then
There's that line.
that's weird.
That's
Don't
weird,
you think
right?
that's
That's
weird?
weird. No, I think that's weird too. I'm just
Yeah.
like,
If
I
he
think there's a
tells
big,
you, that's different. If
right?
he's only telling me, it's like,
Why are
okay.
you telling me that? Like, that's
Yeah,
just weird.
that's weird.
But then I also think, like, you need to be there at the same time, like, if let's say your
Uh,
significant other was like
mhm.
comes up to me randomly, I'm just gonna be like, "Whoa, wait, what up? Wait,
No,
what?"
yeah, that's
That's
weird
just
too.
weird too.
That's
I'm
weird.
just like, that's just a little weird." So
Mhm.
when, like, where you draw your line, like, it's okay for, like, a stranger, but it starts getting weird if it's, like, your friends, Like,
And
if
I
they're
think it
single, it's whatever,
depends.
but, like, if
Yeah.
they're, like, taken, it's just, like unless, like, it's a joke in a way also, like, if there's, like, a joking matter in there, I guess it's, whatever, but at the same time, I think it still hits, like, a
Well,
certain insecurity too, like, a
maybe,
deeper,
yeah. But
you
I
know?
think if you're friends with the other person, like, it depends on your friendship level too, right?
That's
Like, if
true.
you know that your significant other is good friends with your friend too, then that's not weird because it's like if they have like a brother sister kind of bond, right? It's like they're just being nice. That's
Yeah,
it. And you
yeah.
know that there's nothing else going on there.
Mhm.
But if they like just met
Oh,
and
that's
then,
weird.
yeah,
That's
it's
just
like
weird.
you don't even know them, like, kind of like, why did you
Why would you
say
say
that?
that?
Yeah, why?
I think that would be really weird. I think
Because then that's like,
yeah.
why did you, like, are you interested in her?
I don't know. That's just no, I think there's a line that has to be crossed. There's such a, like a, I don't know how to say, like not a stigma, like, yeah, let's just say when a line has to be crossed. Like you don't cross
Mhm.
that line when it comes to friends. Strangers, I think that's a whole different story. I mean, like you don't know them, they don't know you, and you're like, it's a little bit different.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
like
when
if you
it's,
don't know
yeah,
each other, you don't know how they're gonna take it.
yeah. But if
Because
you,
you could
yeah,
just mean it in a certain way, but they're
mm-hmm,
gonna take it differently because they don't know you. They
yeah,
don't know how
exactly.
you act. And
Mm-hmm.
that's gonna change the whole dynamic of like a simple compliment.
Yeah. Like I think there's a, yeah, I think there's a certain compliment level. Like obviously, like, if you guys are going out and you guys are in a group, if you
Mhm.
say it within the group context, be like, "Oh, you look really good." Like, you bought a great dress or your shoes look
Yeah.
nice. Oh, you did your makeup great. Like
Yeah.
that's different. But if they like pull you to the side and tell you, "Wow, you look good," and I'm just like
No,
saying the
no,
same kind of
no.
context, it's just like, "Well, hold on,
That's completely
where's my
different.
friend here? Like she's not around. Don't, oh yeah, no." Or even like they pull you aside and be like, "Babe,
Mhm.
like damn, she looks good today." And I'm like, I don't
That's just
say that about
weird.
my friend.
Yeah.
Um, for one, like even if they're like with someone, like they could have a boyfriend too, like you're going on a double date.
Mm,
Even if like he pulls me to the side and tells me your friend looked good today, I'm like, do you want to switch dates or something?
that's so weird because
Yeah, it's just
they
like,
brought it
yeah,
up out of
yeah,
nowhere.
yeah. But then
So
like if
I'm
I
like, you're
say, be
thinking
like,
about
yeah,
her?
yeah, like if I bring it up and be like, "Oh, what do you think of Maribel's makeup or her outfit?" and they answer, I'm like, "Okay, that's fine." Like I brought it
Yeah.
up. But
Yeah.
I think if they brought it up, it's just like, "What? Hold on.
I'm
Roll
like,
back." What
I'm like,
did you
what are
say?
you what you
Yeah.
thinking about her?
Yeah, I was like, "What do you think about me right now?" Like, wait, hold on. I think that's what, like, there's like that huge weird dynamic in there, and I think that's like what's really like
Mhm.
the difference in that, you know?
I was actually watching a show the other day, and like this guy and girl kind of have like a brother sister relationship because they've been friends for so long. And the guy like was complimenting her, and he's like, I just want you to know that I will always be there for you, and like you can always come to me for anything. And he like kissed her cheek and hugged her.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, that's cute, but like, would it be weird if she had a boyfriend? Like, would
Hmm.
he still have done that?
Hmm. That's a good question. I
But I
like,
think it just depends on the relationship, right? Like, you kind of know that they have like a sibling type bond.
yeah, I think
Like,
that's
it's a
true.
platonic relationship.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, like, if you have that understanding, like, let's say, like, a childhood best friend, you grew up together, you guys are in diapers together, but you guys know there's no feelings but that brother and sister bond,
Yeah.
then yeah, obviously, like, but I would definitely let my significant other know. Be like,
Mhm.
he'll probably be the first person he meets, if anything. Like, I'd
Yeah,
be
if you
like,
are that close,
yeah,
right?
if you're that close, he would be the first person. Like, I think if you're trying to hide the person, there's something going on there, obviously, you
Yeah.
know. Then I think that's where it hits like a big no-no. Like, no,
Doesn't
I
that kind
don't.
of go back to like the security of the relationship?
Yeah, that too. I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Because if you
think,
are secure in the relationship, then you wouldn't worry about if
mm,
it is something more.
yeah, that's true. But okay, so let's say that the roles are reversed. What happens if, because I know how girls can feel too, like, let's say like you guys just started dating and your guy best friend has the girl as his best friend, like how would you feel if like, he's like, "Oh, you can call me anytime. I'm always here." You see them like hug, like long hugs, a kiss on the cheek before they say goodbye or hello. Like, do you think that's the right thing? Like, how do you like, or how do you feel about that? Like,
I think as long as you know that they never had feelings for each other and they don't have feelings for each other, like he's with you, right?
mhm,
And you know that, and he reassures you that you are the one that he loves, and he's not crossing any lines with his girl best friend, like he's not putting her before you or being too close with her, like not flirting or anything, and you kind of just know that they really are just friends, then it's fine. But as soon as like if she starts flirting with him,
There's like a whole different like
that's no, no.
there's like I don't like yeah, no, I totally agree. But I think there's also those like the stigmas of like am I being crazy? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
am I like overthinking it? Like I don't think like if someone
But
brought that up to me, I don't think they're overthinking it. I think they have the right to feel that way, you know.
right, right.
I think they have the right to feel like I think it's a little weird that he's that close to his like girl best friend or guy best
Mhm.
friend. I think there's nothing wrong with that. Like if you have that little bit of the insecurity, but I think that's where like your significant other needs to take that extra step to assure that like there's nothing going on. Even
Yeah.
if there was like let's say like back in high school or something and they did try to go out if it didn't work out, like as long as he's being honest and truthful from the beginning, I think
Mhm.
there's like it's totally fine, you
To
know.
me, I don't know if I could like be okay with it if I knew that they had feelings for each other at one point.
You think so?
I don't
Even
know.
if he's like that, like he's truthful, like let's say like the first date or like right as soon as you guys no, yeah, no, from the first date, like he talks about his best friend and you just he tells you like, yeah, we tried to go out in high school, but we figured out like we were better off as best friends. Like she has her
Mhm.
relationships and I have mine, and we're just like we share with each other, but like it doesn't go any further than
Well,
that. Like he assures you so well.
as long as he is making sure that I am the priority in his life and I don't think that they're crossing any lines, then okay. But if I do think they are maybe a little like
Too
too
close.
close for just friends and she's not respecting me as his partner, then that's when it's not okay.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Like
Like,
I think I think that's important too, like how the girl or guy would treat their like, you know, there's the other person.
yeah.
I think that like takes a big factor in there too. Like, you know, having that friendship with them also be like,
Mhm.
I'm about to steal your best friend from you kind of like friendship. I think that's like, you know, that
Because
makes it
she has to respect you and your
yeah.
relationship with
Hmm.
him. And she kind of has to, as the best friend, I think it's also her job to kind of take a step back from
Hmm. Yeah.
being so close with him,
Hmm.
because then that shows the girlfriend that she does respect your
Yeah.
relationship. She knows that you're the number one woman in his life and that she is just a friend.
Yeah.
So she should also be assuring you too.
I think that's important. That's really important. I think that also goes back with like the whole like communication, not just with your significant other, but also with the friends that he's involved with. Because I think
Yeah.
like friendships in relationships, like, you know, like your whole friend group kind of thing does can make a big impact in a person's relationship too.
Mhm.
You know, like I think that's such a big thing. Like, you know, how your friends act around your significant other, how they treat your significant other, or how your significant other even treats your friends. Like I
Yeah.
know like with my relationship before, it was just like my significant other, like my ex, he didn't really get along with my friends. Like he barely was present. Like he was there, but he wasn't present. You know what I mean? Like he'll just sit there and
Mm.
like it
Yeah.
felt
Yeah.
really draining, not just for like for myself, because obviously like I wanted to make sure he was having fun. Like I don't like I'm here
Yeah.
to have fun with my friends, but if I'm seeing you sitting down and like look like you're falling asleep, like obviously I want to go to you and take care of you. So it's just like where do I cut ties? It's like, is it wrong for me to go off with my boyfriend and be like, okay, let me go take care of you? Or is it wrong to just be like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna go and talk to my friends. You're being an
Mhm.
ass. Like, you know?
Yeah. That I know exactly how you feel
Yeah.
because
So
I
it's
used
just
to feel that way too.
exactly. So it's like so it's just like who do you choose, or how do you balance that out? Because obviously, like, there was a point where it's just like you weren't in the picture, but my friends have. Like, my friends were with
Yeah.
me since like middle school, high school, and you're just here now. So it's just like, do I really drop my friends for you? It's just like, I
To
think that's like,
me, I think that your partner should be putting in more effort.
right.
Like, if you're with somebody, wouldn't you want to get to know their friends?
Exactly. That's what I would think.
You want to, like, have your own bond with them too,
Mhm.
because if your significant other means so much to you, then you would wanna be able to all be together, and
Mhm.
you wouldn't wanna feel like that being a burden.
Exactly. Well, good thing I cut ties with that one. Just kidding.
I know,
But
right?
yeah, I
Like
was like, but no, but it's true though. It's like, I don't want to have to babysit you and make sure you're
exactly. Oh
okay.
my god, that's perfect word for it, babysitting.
It's pretty much like I brought you here because I want to have fun with you and my friends, like,
Yeah.
it's like, like, go hang out with the guys, I'll go hang out with the girls. Like, I could feel like you'll be fine if you're not with me at the same party,
Yeah,
like, I
yeah.
know I'll feel like I feel safe in a way, like
I
you're
don't
over
want
there
you to
having fun.
be clinging to me because you won't
Exactly.
go and socialize with other
Yeah.
people, like, then you really are just babysitting.
You're no, it really is, like, do you it's like I brought my child to
Yeah,
the
because 'cause you're
party.
worried about
Yeah,
them.
exactly, like, "Oh, did you eat? Did you drink? Oh, do you need fresh air? Like, are you okay?"
Oh my god,
Like,
that brings me
that's
back,
they're
like,
like
I can't go back to I'm not doing that again.
but that's really what it was, and, like, literally, we would go to a party, and, like, I would literally see him sitting on the couch just, like, looking like he's a mope, and I'm just like, "Oh, I have to go over there and make sure he's okay,"
And
and
then
it's
it
just
makes you
like
feel bad for, like, bringing him, right?
yeah, exactly, and then it's just like, "Oh, I'm sorry I forced you," and then they'll go with like, "No, it's fine, go ahead, go with your friends," but in the back of your head, just like, "No, it's not fine,"
And
because
then
it feels like I'm gonna hear, like, something about
yeah.
this later, it's just like, ugh, it's just a burden. I think that's what, like, kinda also, like, crushes you little by little in the relationship too,
Mhm.
because it's draining. It really is a big
It
drain.
is.
I think, like, that's what's really important, that, like, you're friends with also your significant other's friends,
Mhm.
and, like, that's how I feel with, like, a lot of my friends. Like, I could say I'm friends with their significant other to a certain point, obviously, but, like, I could be like, call them up, be like, "Hey, I have a flat tire, like, can you help me out?" Like, those things. And,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
like, I'll be like, "Hey, is so and so home? Like, I need help with this." And, like, my friend would be like, "Oh yeah, let me go call them up real quick. Let me go tell them," like, that's like the kind of bond, like, is it feels okay for me.
Because then it's like you are putting yourself, like, in his friend group too.
Mhm, yeah.
And while they're not like your friends, but you should still have a bond with them
Yeah.
because they're his friends. They
Mhm.
mean so much to him. So you want to have like some kind of relationship with them
Yeah.
too, and at least try to have a relationship
Yeah.
with them. Like,
Exactly.
I'm not just gonna sit around. If he brings me to a party with his friends, I'm not just gonna sit there and like
Look at
look
my
around at it.
phone,
Yeah,
yeah, and look
gonna
bored.
try to get to know
Yeah,
everybody.
and I would want, like, my significant other being like, "That's okay." Like, I want him to be like, "Okay, cool, like, you're having fun. Like, I don't need to
Yeah,
babysit you. I don't need to, like, worry that you're, like, having fun or you're being angry," and I think that's,
yeah,
like, the best part. Like, that's what really, like, hits home, and it's really good for, like, a really growing relationship.
yeah, because then they can do their thing and they
Mhm,
know that you'll be okay to
mhm,
do your thing too.
yeah,
Like, I don't want you to have to worry about me. I want you to have fun, and I will
yeah.
have fun too.
Yeah, I think that's like what's really important. I think that's what's like hits that key factor in a growing and healthy. I think that's a really
Mhm.
healthy relationship to me, at least.
Yeah,
Like
because you
if
don't
you
want them
can,
to think like they're gonna feel bad if
hmm
they think that you're not having a good time,
yeah,
and
I
I
don't
don't
want,
wanna do
yeah,
that.
yeah, exactly. I don't think that's like the right thing to do, you know?
Mhm.
And if
Because
like,
then you feel bad for hanging out with your friends. Like,
yeah,
you should never
exactly.
feel bad for
That,
that.
yeah, no, oh my God, no, like that's exactly how I felt. Like I would feel guilty to the
Me too.
point where I lied. Like I would lie. I'd be like, "Oh, I'm just home with my family." But in reality, like I went to go out to lunch with my friends and I didn't like invite
Um,
him or didn't
yeah.
tell, well, obviously it was just girls, but like I wouldn't tell him and I would just be like, I would feel guilty that I lied, but at the same time I know it's just like he's gonna make a big deal out of it, or
Oh,
he's gonna be like, "Oh, you're gonna
yeah.
hang out with them again," or he's gonna have like those like those snarks near the end of the relationship. That's how I felt, at least. Like I felt
Mm,
like I hid a lot more because I felt drained, always trying to take care of
yeah.
him. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
think my ex kind of knew that I felt some kind of way without him being with my friends sometimes
mm-hmm,
because I was like straight up with him. I was like, I want to go hang out with my friends and I kind of just like want to go by myself. And I didn't know how he was going to take it. But I was like, I hope you can understand that I just want to go out with my friends, like by myself, because, like, sorry, but when you are there, it does make a difference.
it like
But
yeah,
he did understand, and he was like, I don't know if he was hurt by it or not, but he just let me go. I mean, I'm gonna go anyways. You can't stop me.
like okay, bye. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like I think that's was just like that breaking point where I was like, damn, I have to lie to go hang out with my friends.
Yeah.
I think that's when I started knowing like I don't think this relationship is really working out. And then obviously there was other
Yeah.
factors in the relationship that kind of like ended things, especially like the values we both had. I think that's really
Mm,
important, like how you treat your family and how you like there's like so much of that gets involved. Like if you don't value your family, then I'm sorry, we're not going to work out because like my family is
yeah.
important to me especially. And
Both
yeah.
of us, I feel like, are so family oriented that it's
Yeah,
hard if your partner isn't.
it really is, you know. It's just like, I'm sorry, but I'm putting my family first. Like, yeah, I
Yeah.
love you, but like if something goes down for my family, I want to be there. Like, there I think that's part of me that felt like I lost myself too because when I was in that relationship, I kind of like let my family obligations go a little bit and like
Mm,
that's when I started feeling like I really lost myself. And I was just like, you know what?
yeah.
No, I need to like slap in the face, kind of be like, no, I can't do that. I need to value the time I have with my family, and like it just wasn't right. And it's okay.
I think with relationships, you kind of like, once you start to notice things, like, I would have never done that to my family before, or I would have never like
Mhm.
had to feel like I had to lie to you. And then you're like, kind of thinking about why are you even in the relationship,
Mhm.
right? Like, you really changed how you are for that person.
Mhm.
And you shouldn't have to change to
No.
be with someone.
And I think even like you don't have to change yourself, but you don't have to change the person also. Like
Yeah,
if you're starting to change the person into like, I don't know, like your dream guy or girl, then it's like then why are you with them? You know what I mean? It's just
yeah.
like if you have to change every single part of them, it's like, well, then why are you with them if you're changing so much of them, you know? It's just like, why don't you find someone who is the person you're changing that person into, you know?
That's what's so hard. Like, I kind of, in my last relationship, I felt like there were so many good qualities that my partner had. And I was kind of scared. Like, there was a lot of red flags at the same time. But I was scared that if we weren't together, would I find someone with the good qualities? Like, I don't know. I was just scared that I wouldn't find someone else that would have those qualities that I liked and like the way that he treated me and all of
Mhm.
that. But when it came to the red flags, of course, I was like, I don't think it should be like this.
Yeah.
I don't think our relationship is healthy if these things are happening. But I was also just too scared to let go of it because I didn't know if I would be able to like find that again.
No, I totally understand. I think that's what I felt too. Like I held on
Mhm.
to the relationship for so long that I was just like I
Yeah,
was kind of like afraid at the same time, like, wow, I was with this person for this many years and like, am I really willing to let that go? Because like all these red flags are starting off like what happens if I don't find anyone else? But I think like that's where it comes in, just like, yeah, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna
yeah,
be hard to find like another person, but I'm sure the person that you want to be with is out there. I think time will tell, time will come.
yeah,
If they're meant to be, it'll happen, you know?
exactly. Like that's where you have to know your worth. Like
Yeah,
if there are red flags, there really shouldn't be.
yeah. I think if it's more than I think like just like too many red flags to count, and then it's just like, am I really worth keeping this relationship?
And
You
it's
know?
like if you're questioning if you should be in the relationship,
Mhm.
that's kind of already a sign,
Right.
right? Like you
It
shouldn't
feels
even
like,
be
yeah.
thinking about it.
Mhm. Totally agree with that. Like if you have to question it, if you have to question it for too longer than a minute, like I think that's just like, there's a red flag there. Like there's something
Yeah.
there that you're either too scared to admit as also, you know? Like
I
there's nothing
know
wrong
that
with
I
it.
was like holding on for too long. I
Same.
really tried to make it
Same.
work.
I really did too. I was like, no matter how many times, like, I would look back at it and be like, I felt bad near the end, but at the same time, I'm like, I think that's what's best for us because I didn't feel as happy as I did when we first started going out, you
Yeah, because
know?
then you kind of look back at how things
Mhm.
used to be, right? And then you're
Mhm.
like wishing that you could be back to that. And
Mhm.
the reality is that it's not. It's not the
No.
same anymore.
No. And it's like you shouldn't force it to go back to that if that's where it was, you should keep it to where it was. Cause like,
Mhm.
honestly, it feels like if you keep trying to go back to the beginning of the relationship too much or too fast, it feels like it's gonna start turning into like something's forced in there.
Yeah, because then you're like
Yeah,
living in that moment
yeah,
and not the
exactly.
present moment, not
Mhm.
looking at the relationship for what it really is.
Yeah.
Like just because you were happy back then, but that's not what it is anymore.
Yeah. Because like we said before, it's like you grow not only as an individual, but also as a couple. Like you don't want to
Yeah,
step backwards, as you're
yeah,
growing. Because like, what's the point in that? And then what's the point of like just holding on for too long when you know it's time to let go. You know that it's like, okay, maybe they aren't my significant other, maybe they
mhm,
aren't my soulmate, maybe he's out there, they are out there, and I'll find them. I just have to be patient. I can't force it. I can't feel like I'm forcing a relationship into the perfect one.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's why to me, it's kind of like things are gonna happen how they are meant to.
Mhm.
And I think the more that you try to make it work when it obviously isn't, then the more you will see why it's not working
Yeah. I think that's
because you're
true.
trying like so hard to make it work. And that
Mhm.
is like your sign that it's not working.
Yeah. No, totally. Totally understand that. I think that's like the big key factor in there. But I think also like, yeah, just like knowing yourself, knowing what your worth,
Mhm.
knowing what you want, knowing having that communication, having that trust, having that whole thing is such a big package to have in your relationship. Knowing if you're ready to taking that next step into like engagement, to marriage, to like kids, you know, I think like if you're going in it feeling like, damn, I'm forced to be in this relationship, I'm not 100% sure I'm happy, then if you're starting to question yourself there, to me, it feels like there needs to be some type of communication with your significant other, or there needs to be like, I think we need a break. We need to be separated for a little bit to figure this out.
Yeah.
And like if you're meant to be, if you're meant to like, what we said earlier, if you're meant to be, you'll find your way together again. Like,
Yeah.
it'll
Because
happen.
if you take a break, it kind of also shows you like if you really want to be with that person or
Mhm.
not. Like,
Yeah.
were you happier when you were by yourself? Or were
Mhm.
you happier? Like, do you miss him? Do you want to be with
Mhm.
them again?
Yeah. I think there's like, yeah, I think taking a break is at least to me, taking a break is totally like fine and like, healthy. Like
Yeah.
I would say like,
Yeah.
yeah, if you're questioning your relationship, totally take a break.
I
Take a
think
breather.
I think you just have to make sure you define your break
Yeah,
with your
definitely.
partner.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Definitely that.
a lot of people have different meanings for a
Yeah.
break.
Let's not cool of friends over here having a
Yeah,
Ross and
that's
Rachel. We were
exactly.
on a break, let's not go that far into it. But like, yeah,
Yeah.
make sure you're defining it. Be like, okay, if you want to talk to girls, fine, go ahead, but
Mhm.
I don't feel secure enough if you sleep with someone else. Let's not go that far. Like
It's
defining it.
like, is it a complete breakup
Mm-hmm.
or
Or
is it
a
just
break.
like a temporary
Yeah,
separation?
like let's do our own thing for a little bit, like me and you, just like, just taking a breather from the relationship, not having to
Mhm.
think about each other. If we come back because we can't stop thinking about each other, that we feel like this break isn't what we need, then that's totally fine.
Yeah,
I think that's what counts. Um, but yeah, I think like, getting into that whole breaks, I think that does help a person also finding themselves, finding what they want, finding who they are. I think that's healthy.
I think, yeah, as long as you just define what the break means to
Yeah.
you guys, then you're fine.
Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing wrong with it
Mhm.
unless you guys are on different pages, then that's when it gets messy.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think that would like totally ruin
It can
and I
be a
mean, it
completely
feels
different
like
thing.
if the person's ends up like doing more than what you think, then maybe the break was the part of the breaking point. Then that kind
Mhm.
of just means like, well, maybe we shouldn't get back together because clearly this is not what you want. Like you're
Yeah,
having fun,
yeah.
so why do we need to get back together if,
That's why it
I
really
guess.
shows you what you
Yeah.
want from the
Mm-hmm.
relationship or if you still want it.
Yeah. No, I think that's like, yeah. I think that's like even like when I think they have that like clause in a divorce. Like, okay, you have to be separated for this many months before like you can actually file for divorce. I think that's why they
Yeah.
have that is so like, they kind of either remember what it feels like to be apart and
Mhm.
like, some people end up like not getting divorces because they realize, wait, I still
That you
really
do
love you
want to be
and I
together. Yeah.
really, really want to be with you still. Like I can't live without you moments. Like it's not only in movies. People
Mhm.
actually have it happens to people like, in real life. So I don't think it's wrong to have a separation, to be on a break, as long as you know the
As long as you
boundaries.
define it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the key point. Define your break. Define that. But yeah. Um, no, like I think that was like a really good conversation we had about like relationships and about
Mhm.
how, knowing yourself, knowing your worth, having that trust, having that communication, it's just like a big bow around like the whole relationship, the whole like knowing if you're with the right person, knowing if you're ready to be in a relationship, if you're ready to move on from your past, like having just like that centerpiece. I think that's really important. And I hope like,
Yeah.
you're not alone if you're out there thinking about all these crazy things. Like you're not alone. Everyone thinks about it, whether you're female, male, like it doesn't matter. I think that's just like the key point of everything.
I think it just really does go back to that security
Mhm.
in your own relationship. Like, you would know if someone is the one
Mhm.
because you feel so happy together. You wouldn't have
Mhm.
to question anything when you're together, right?
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
And if that is, that's kind of your sign that maybe they're not
Mhm.
the one. So I think it really is just, putting yourself first, knowing what you want and knowing what you want from a partner and then being able to make it work together.
Yeah, that
And
really
if
is.
it's not, then you kind of have to just accept that it's not working, and you really do have to like feel everything
I really
that
do.
yeah, like you know it's not working. You can't pretend that it is.
Mhm. You can't be on that
So,
denial stage, and then it's okay, like, it'll work out. Just remember to always know, like, you have your friends, you have your family, you're not
mhm,
alone. Like, there's other people out there who are probably going through the same thing, and that,
mhm.
like, be vocal, like, talk about your feelings. Don't hide out, like, cry as much as you need to. Obviously you've been with this person for so long. There's nothing wrong with crying about it. There's nothing wrong with
Yeah,
feeling hurt because like you did put your time and effort into it. And I think it's okay. But also give your time. Like, I think giving a time limit also is just like, okay, I need to try to pick myself up now. I need to move on because I know that this is good for me, and you start, like going out on your own, go to restaurants by yourself, hang out with your friends, remember what it was like to feel being yourself again. I think that's really
yeah.
important.
Finding yourself,
Mhm.
because you can't just pretend like everything's okay. You really have to allow yourself to feel everything
Mhm.
to be able to move on from it.
Yeah, feeling
You
the
can't
vulnerability.
yeah, you can't
Yeah.
just sweep it under the rug and pretend that everything's fine.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like, that's just only gonna be a downward spiral
Yeah, I
because
think so too. You're asking for failure for yourself if you just
yeah,
keep thinking too negatively also.
you have to be honest with yourself and how you feel.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, if you don't feel comfortable talking with your friends, be vocal in journaling. Find that, like,
Mhm.
passion in something else. Find
Learn
that
how to
thing.
express yourself
Mhm,
somehow, at
mhm.
least.
Yeah, exactly, totally agree with that.
Mhm.
Spend that little moment just, like, thinking about it. And, like, in the end, if you guys both find out you guys both grew, and, like we said, if you feel like it was meant to be, it'll happen again. If it was meant
If
to
it's
be.
really meant to
Uh-huh.
be, you will find each other again.
Mhm,
You will find your way back.
mhm.
I really
Exactly.
believe that, yeah.
I think so too. I mean, I guess it depends on everyone. Not everyone will have like the same
Mhm.
experiences as the other, but I also don't think you should look at other people's experiences as your own also. Also
Yeah,
try to feel that individuality of your own self, your own what you want, your expectations, you know, find your own worth. That's what's really matter the most to me at least.
yeah.
Mhm.
It's a big thing.
Mhm.
Know
Yeah,
your worth.
exactly.
Respect yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. Respect yourself, know your worth. Yeah.
Well, okay. I
Yeah.
think that's all for today's talk, huh?
I think so. I think that was a really good conversation we had. Like,
Mhm.
relationships is such a big part of our everyday lives. Everyone has them, everyone loses them. It's such a big roller coaster. And I think that's like our big first topic for our first episode.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a big
We really went
conversation.
in there.
Yeah, we went in there, and I hope everyone who's watching gets a little bit of insight,
Mhm.
gets a little bit of that. It probably crossed their minds. It happens to them. You're not alone, that's for sure. Just know
These
that.
are things that should be talked about more.
Mhm,
These are the conversations that couples should be having
mhm,
with each other to make it work, you know?
mhm,
You can't just hide it. And
mhm,
as hard as it can be sometimes, you really have to be honest with yourself. You have to trust yourself and know that if you are feeling some type of way about your relationship,
mhm.
you should be okay
Vocal.
enough to, yeah, to be able to talk about it.
Be vocal, don't hide it. Don't be afraid to share. Don't be afraid that you're gonna be wrong, you know,
Mhm.
it'll be okay. It's always better to talk it out rather than just
Yeah.
hiding it.
Don't internalize your
Mhm,
feelings. That's just gonna lead to something else that's definitely not gonna be good for you.
mhm, yeah. Look out for
So,
your own health, your own, like, well-being, your own worth, you know?
yeah.
we can't say that too much, but,
Yeah.
like, it's gonna be hard, obviously, but it's not an easy thing, but it's just know in the end, it's everything is really gonna be okay. It will be.
As cliche as it sounds, it is going to be okay. Like, even if you think you've been through the worst, there will be better days.
Yeah, exactly. That's for sure. That, like, there's gonna be that rainbow at the very end. Even if it feels hard right now, like, it feels like I can't get through this, I'm gonna get back with that person. No, don't feel like that. You can get through it, you know?
Respect yourself
Yeah, exactly,
so much.
yes.
Like, you really need
Mhm,
to respect yourself and your own feelings. Put
mhm,
yourself first, love yourself,
mhm.
everything.
Yeah, no, totally, totally. Mhm.
Well, thank you for listening, and please like and subscribe if you enjoyed our conversation. If you'd like to see more of our content, our socials will be down below in the description.
Please leave a comment with any questions, and we'll see you next week. Unfold your feelings to start your healing.
Bye.
Bye.